Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and seem to own it? Not with arrogance, but with a quiet certainty that feels magnetic? That's genuine confidence, and it's available to you right now. Not tomorrow, not after years of work. Today. What if I told you that the confidence you've been searching for isn't something you need to build from scratch? What if it's already within you, waiting to be unlocked? By the end of our journey together, you'll understand why confidence feels so elusive yet can transform so quickly once you know its true nature. Imagine confidence not as something you achieve, but as something you uncover, like wiping fog from a mirror to reveal what was always there. This perspective shift alone can change everything. The difference between those who appear naturally confident and those who struggle isn't what they have. It's what they've stopped doing. They've stopped interfering with their natural state of being. Confidence isn't manufactured. It's your default setting. Think about children before they learn to doubt themselves. They dance without wondering if they look foolish. They create without fear of criticism. What we call building confidence is actually removing the layers of doubt, comparison, and self-criticism that have accumulated over years. These layers aren't your true nature, they're acquired. Carl Jung spoke of the persona, the social mask we wear to fit in. Many of us mistake our personas for who we truly are, forgetting our authentic selves beneath. Take a moment now. Close your eyes briefly. Remember a time when you felt completely at home in yourself. Perhaps when deeply engaged in something you love. That feeling wasn't confidence you built. It was you without interference. The mind creates elaborate stories about our inadequacy. I'll be confident when. Fills in with achievements, physical changes, or social validation. But those who wait for conditions never arrive. What if confidence isn't the absence of fear but the presence of self-trust? What if you already know how to access it because you've experienced it many times before? Think of confidence as your birthright, not something to strive for but something to return to. The journey is one of remembering, not becoming. Alan Watts compared our search for self-improvement to a cat chasing its tail. The very act of pursuing what we think we lack keeps us from recognizing what we already possess. The illusion that confidence comes from outside ourselves is perhaps the greatest obstacle to experiencing it. External validation creates a house of cards that collapses with the slightest breeze. Consider this. If you're waiting to feel confident before acting, you've misunderstood confidence's nature. It doesn't precede action, it emerges through action, like heat from friction. What would change if you stopped thinking of confidence as something to acquire and started seeing it as your natural state when self-doubt is removed? Let's explore what blocks this natural state. The mind is a magnificent storyteller, constantly narrating our experiences, capabilities, and worth. These narratives shape our reality more powerfully than actual events. Many of us carry an inner critic born from past experiences, perhaps a harsh parent, bullying, or moments of public failure. This voice speaks with authority, masquerading as wisdom protecting us from harm. But examine this critic closely. Is it truly protecting you, or is it limiting your expression? Is it accurate, or is it replaying outdated recordings? This voice gains strength in the shadows. When exposed to conscious awareness, it often loses its grip. What would happen if you simply observed this critical voice without believing it? Our brains evolved to scan for threats and preserve social standing. This biological wiring makes us exquisitely sensitive to potential rejection. But in modern life, this system misfires constantly. The spotlight effect causes us to overestimate how much others notice our flaws and mistakes. Research shows people are far less focused on our failures than we imagine. What if the fear holding you back exists mainly in your imagination? What if others are too preoccupied with their own concerns to judge you as harshly as you judge yourself? Psychologist Kristen Neff found that self-compassion, treating yourself with the kindness you'd offer a friend, correlates more strongly with emotional resilience than self-esteem. Pause and notice. How do you speak to yourself when you make mistakes? Would you talk that way to someone you love? This gap between self-treatment and how we treat others reveals much. Our confidence often collapses when we compare our behind-the-scenes footage to others' highlight reels. Social media amplifies this distortion, presenting carefully curated versions of reality. The philosopher Epictetus taught that suffering comes from trying to control what lies beyond our influence. True confidence flows from focusing on what you can control, your actions, not outcomes. Consider, what areas of life are you postponing until you feel confident enough? What if you reverse the equation and allowed action to generate confidence instead? The body-mind connection forms another crucial piece of this puzzle. Physiology affects psychology. How you hold yourself physically alters your mental state in measurable ways. Amy Cuddy's research on power posing demonstrated that adopting expansive postures for just 2 minutes increases testosterone and decreases cortisol, hormonal changes that promote confidence. Try this now. Sit up straight, open your chest, and breathe deeply for 3 breaths. Notice any subtle shift in your feeling state. The body doesn't distinguish between genuine and performed confidence. Many people wait for the feeling of confidence before acting confidently. But neurologically, the relationship works both ways. Acting confidently creates the feeling of confidence through biological feedback loops. What if you treated confidence as a practice rather than a personality trait? What if you approached it with curiosity instead of judgment? Now, let's explore the paradoxical solutions that can transform your experience so quickly it might indeed feel almost illegal in their simplicity. The first paradox: to become more confident, stop trying to be confident. Instead, redirect attention from self to purpose. When fully engaged in something meaningful, self-consciousness naturally diminishes. Think of times you've been so absorbed in an activity that you forgot to worry about how you appeared. That state, what psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi calls flow, represents confidence in its purest form. The second paradox: embrace vulnerability. Counterintuitively, acknowledging uncertainty and imperfection often creates more authentic confidence than pretending to know everything. Brené Brown's research reveals that those who appear most genuinely confident are often those who've made peace with their vulnerabilities rather than those trying to hide them. Try this experiment. Next time you're uncertain, simply say, "I don't know," without apology or explanation. Notice how this honesty often creates more connection and respect than false certainty. The third paradox: lower the stakes through playfulness. When we approach situations with curiosity and experimentation rather than demanding perfection, natural confidence emerges. Remember learning to ride a bicycle? Progress came not from getting it right immediately, but from being willing to wobble, fall, and try again with a sense of adventure? What if you treated social interactions, work presentations, or creative endeavors with the same playful spirit? "Let me see what happens" carries far less pressure than "I must impress everyone." The fourth paradox: accept fear as a companion, not an obstacle. Confidence isn't fearlessness. It's moving forward alongside fear without being controlled by it. The author Susan Jeffers popularized the phrase, "feel the fear and do it anyway." This approach acknowledges fear without granting it decision-making authority. Imagine fear as a backseat passenger who can speak but cannot drive. You acknowledge its presence. "Yes, I hear you're worried about rejection. Thank you for your concern. I'm proceeding anyway." The fifth paradox: practice failure intentionally. Deliberate exposure to small rejections and failures builds immunity to their sting, creating what psychologists call anti-fragility. Try rejection therapy. Deliberately seek small, safe rejections daily. Ask for a discount at a store. Request a modification at a restaurant. Reach out to someone you admire. Each rejection survived weakens fear's hold, teaching your nervous system that social disapproval isn't fatal. Soon, what once triggered anxiety becomes merely interesting data. The sixth paradox: focus on contribution rather than evaluation. When your primary concern shifts from "how am I doing" to "how can I serve or create value," natural confidence emerges. In social situations, replace self-conscious thinking with curiosity about others. In work contexts, focus on the problem you're solving rather than how you're being perceived. This shift is transformative because it aligns with our deeper nature. Humans evolved as social contributors. When we connect with this aspect of ourselves, we access an authentic power source. The seventh paradox: develop confidence through committed practice, not pre-existing talent. What appears as natural ability in others is often the result of consistent effort invisible to observers. The psychologist Anders Ericsson found that deliberate practice, stretching just beyond current ability with targeted feedback, creates mastery that eventually feels effortless. What skill would you develop if you trusted the process rather than demanding immediate excellence? What would you attempt if you valued growth over avoiding embarrassment? The philosopher Aristotle observed that virtues develop through practice. We become brave by acting bravely, kind by acting kindly. Similarly, we become confident by acting confidently before we feel it. Imagine confidence as a muscle strengthened through regular use rather than a magical state that descends only upon the worthy. What small confidence rep could you perform today? Finally, consider the relationship between confidence and your deeper self. Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are beneath social conditioning. True confidence flows naturally when your outer actions align with your inner truth. The energy previously spent maintaining appearances becomes available as authentic presence. Ask yourself, what would I do if I weren't concerned with others' opinions? What would I express if I trusted my own voice completely? The answers reveal your path to natural confidence. The journey we've explored isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you've always been beneath the accumulated layers of doubt and fear. You've experienced moments of effortless confidence throughout your life, when deeply engaged, when helping others, when standing for something meaningful. These weren't anomalies. they were glimpses of your true nature. The practices we've discussed, redirecting attention from self to purpose, embracing vulnerability, approaching life playfully, accepting fear as a companion, practicing failure, focusing on contribution, committing to growth, and aligning with your deeper self are simply ways of clearing the path. Like dust settling in still water, when you stop interfering with your natural state, clarity emerges. The confidence you seek isn't something to construct, but something to allow. Begin today with just one small action taken from this place of understanding. Not to become confident, but to express the confidence that already lives within you. Trust that each step taken from authenticity rather than fear creates momentum. The quickest path to transformation isn't forcing change, but removing the obstacles to what's already whole within you. Remember, confidence isn't something you need to find. It's what remains when you stop looking for it elsewhere. Your turn to discover this truth has arrived. What will you do with it?